Itaola dumelang sanibuyana nebushin molweni be greeted. Namhlanje I'm so excited. Awuthami for the longest of time. Ngenzi manhunt, finally you are here. Pastor Fred, ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be an epic show, a heart-wrenching experience, and we're going to be unpacking the issues of the underworld. Awuthami, thank you so much, my pastor, my friend, my homie, my brother. And in the interesting kakhulu ukuthi zonke kana issues aseDanyane. So welcome to the Prison Podcast. This is called Against the Wall. It's the prison experience. We call it the Danyane Diaries. We are just going to indulge in the sins of your youth, and then a man who was young in his primitive years, a man who grew up, a man that we see now who's walking in the fullness of his calling. A warm welcome to this Against the Wall show of ours. And ebalale makhaya ngicela ukuthi ni like and subscribe. Just follow us. Click in that button and tune into our YouTube channel. Siyakhula, and we know that God is increasing our territory. So wherever you are, I am hoping that you are going to be blessed with this episode. Welcome. Ngicela uzintroduce Awuthami because zoyithatha bit by bit. I know we are going to reach greater heights.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It's been long overdue. Yeah, it had to happen one time or another. As you've heard, I'm Pastor Freddy, or my full name, Pastor Freddy Stumbeko, based in Pretoria. We are here to talk.
Young Kazalendo, because last time everyone calls you Pastor Fred. I thought actually initially Pastor was your name, Freddy was the surname. Why this Pastor Fred? Because even when I googled you, check even last night, I mean, I always make sure before I speak to our guest, I always make sure okay, let me just get a background. But take us back where you come from. Where were you born? Your country of origin and the place of birth, abazali, background.
I am tri-nation, if there's anything such.
You one-stop shop with engine garage.
I was born and raised in Namibia, and it happens that my father is from Zambia, my mother is Namibian, and the time that I was born, Namibia was part of South Africa. It was Southwest Africa by then. But that's where I come from originally. I've been based in South Africa for 11 years now.
So I know a lot of people are inquisitive, and every time when you're unpacking the stories of a prison, there are people who are negative, and they are saying, I'm inmates, bafana no Satan. Satan is irredeemable, so there is no way umuntu change. And here we are talking a second chance, where we are saying, we are preaching the story of hope, and now you happen to be a pastor. But before you became a pastor, there was a man, and that is why I'm telling you, angry. And I always say, don't make me angry, because the reaction I might not know, but it was before the time I became a bona fide Christian. No last time, we don't even kill a fly, we're harmless germs. So in your upbringing, okay, because there's an element of prison, I don't want us to paint a picture this is the desired future between Skeem and Pastor Fred. But people want to know the makeup and the DNA, and also the demons that led Pastor Freddy to ultimately Utangene Danyane. Maukula bunenye a history mnandi blind, where you were hired in this company, the next thing so was Ugusungla Inyugu, Zabot driver, and ultimately obviously you squandered multi-millions of rands, and then that led to Pastor Freddy prison. So I don't want to unpack the story. I was just telling you, I've been watching you very close. And I know you've got a very rich history. And I'm sure I ask you, why are you so advocating for this young man? It is because I was so excited. When a life-changing experience, and the issues that we are going to touch, I know people won't believe. So what actually earned you the name of a criminal? The demons that led you to obviously find yourself behind bars.
I always say nobody is born a criminal. There's people have tried to prove that there's a criminal element in everyone and all those things, but I also say that people are born, we are a blank page, and as you grow up, thoughts are written into you. You start to discover things about yourself, things that you desire. You start to find out what makes you angry. I was born liking the good life, even as a child. I loved the good life, and I went to school, I went to university, I was raised, and that's the other thing. People think that once people who end up in prison are those who were raised in dysfunctional homes, broken homes. I was raised by a principal and a teacher, disciplinarians. See, so we can give birth to our children and show them the way in which to go, but then it's up to them. As they grow up, they start to make their own decisions, they start to develop their own personalities and minds. I became that son who desired a lot more than he had. So I may say, put fairly, greed got the best of me. From a young age, I loved the good life, and I chased the good life, and the salary was not enough. So I started stealing from work to feed my good life, and to feed that reputation of people, being the man. You see. So that is how I ended up in prison. That is how I became a convicted criminal.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, all right. Ngifuna sithathe nje bit by bit, and then we're going to dive in deep so that we get the in-depth and the insight of the how part.
Yes.
We are not saying this so that people at home and even young boys, because ngiyabazi bayakopa, yabona. So but I always tell them, for you to become another man's wife in prison, chances are very real. So you are going to paint a graphic story. You are working in this company. Now they give you an opportunity, you must run, whether it's finance / admin, but now you ended up, seeing an opportunity. Angithi la kungena khona greed and desire. So I just want to understand that part. What role were you playing, and how were you able actually to get your hands in the cookie jar?
Okay, I basically paid allowances to drivers in cash. What they need for cross-border fees, what they need for hotels, because they drive. We have Joburg drivers, Cape Town drivers driving through Namibia to Botswana, to Zimbabwe, to Congo, to Zambia, from Windhoek. So they have to carry a lot of cash with that. And then I'm the one that has to balance the books at the end of the day. And nobody is balancing me, or so I thought. So with all that, I just so easy access to the cash office, to the safe and all. So that is how I got into the cookie jar.
But what's happening with the auditors? Because I know every company, in as much as when you are there, but you have your principal, someone who takes care of a vault or a treasure.
Exactly. That's why I say I thought someone was balancing me, or there was someone supposed to be balancing me. But I can tell you straight, I did it over a period of time where I think I survived 2 audits. Yeah, untouched.
So I remember you were very good. So if ngukubhekile you were a kingpin in your own right. How did you get away with murder? Well, sukubona umuntu otshontsha a camera, omunye umuntu uthi hayi lama camera black and white awaboni la. Mofaka ikepisi, angithi everyone before azongena uyayo study. Masispina ngikhumbula masashaya ikara or shaya ikara zenyuku. Besiva senza into yokuscouta. So how did you
It's simply creation of documentation, that's all, to balance everything.
Pulling a wool on someone's face.
Make fictitious trips for drivers who never actually travel, or even when they've traveled and decided not to claim, and then I still put a claim under their name. Like maybe someone has driven to Angola and usually they take about 30,000 rand. Then I just make sure that that trip, 30,000 is going in that trip's name, but it's coming to my pocket. Yeah.
So, but now, I mean, obviously you made considerable amounts of money. So I just want to understand, if say I'm stealing, I'm 100. Of course, the life is within the ranging. I'm starting big, stealing I'm 1,000. Mangsha thousands, and then stealing kuba millions. Ultimately, ujonjama billions. So I mean that amount, according to me, Yabo driver, and that was it that much that it actually earned you the name and the life.
We are not talking about one driver, 10 drivers. We're talking about a large company, the proportions of Transnet, having a lot of truck drivers traveling across Southern Africa. So yeah, but then the funny thing of taking, I'm not encouraging somebody to take big or small, but the funny thing of taking bit by bit is when you are charged, is when you go, oh, so I've eaten that much. Because you're busy taking 100 here, 80,000 there, 100 there, 120, 200,000 there. It's only later when everything now comes together and they tell you.
And also now, man,
yeah, you see,
yeah,
you finished, and you become too relaxed. I survived 2 audits, or it's on the second audit that they got me, so I became so relaxed that look, I'll take next week again.
Yeah.
Let me put this one somewhere there. Let me blow the other one. Let me go and be the man, paint the town, and I know next week I'll pull out another 100 because there are trips that are scheduled. And then you realize that, I could have built a house.
Yeah. So take us to that day. Ngangikhuluma sharing interview. Ithi kimi, yabona issue eyang embarrassa or mangimbuza ukuthi what's that one thing or one day where you are saying this was the break of the camel's back, or where the penny has dropped and we realize ukuthi suddenly life changed, the turning point. And langa uzwa bathi kuneven ngaphandle uboshwe kanjani? I mean, obviously there was a build up. It's either they've written a letter and said to you, come gonna hearing. How were you finally brought to book?
I was doing my work as normal when our financial controller just walked up to my desk and just threw that stack of papers and says, can you please explain this? That's when I knew then that it came down.
Move.
Yeah. Please explain these trips and these cash outs and all those things. I looked at them and I said, okay. And it's an open plan office and everybody is looking. So I knew it came down and there's nothing to explain. Yeah, so immediately she saw that there's nothing to explain. I've been caught. I can talk my way out of this one. I was called into her office to sign the suspension letter. And then I was told, I'll be suspended until further notice pending the internal investigation. But they had already called the cops on me. Yeah, but hey, I went home. Not to shame our brothers in uniform, but the people that were called to pick me up, may God rest their souls.
Yeah, they are the least paid, Mchan.
So they came, I was suspended on a Thursday, and then Friday they came to pick me up. As I drove in, they also pulled over with their police van and said, there's a case made against you. We need to take you in. And I told them it's Friday, guys. Come back on Sunday. And they obliged. They went, they gave me my last weekend.
You live to die another day.
Yeah, but then Sunday on time as we arranged, they arrived. They picked me up and they prepped me. They were kind enough to prep me to say, look, this is what is going to happen. This is how we're going to process you. We're going to take you in and then...
Okay. All right. Second, process of justice. I'm in justice class. I mean, talking SAPS, Ukulmama courts. Ultimately, it's DCS.
Yeah.
So I want to understand. This is in another. It's no man's land, or it's another country, rather. So I'm not quite too sure or familiar about the system, but obviously I need to always lay out here on the ground. People are talking about Zim and they are telling you about the prison system, how horrible. Boxburg prison. He was telling me about Botswana. When they were doing that thing, guillotine or le hang pan, bayenza show and they would hang someone and next door and benza show ukuthi niyezwa. So bekunelanga lakhona Sunday. And then they'd call names. Well, these people today, straight by a good death row. So when you get that side, at times people are bleeding. So intentionally so, bavule foro in between. So le foro idlula phakathi kwesel lakho. So that guy, when he shits his pen that side, when he screams or kick, niyamuzwa lo muntu ngada until he's silent. After sekathulile, then senibona ngegazi liyangena liyadlula la. Uthi that thing, I'm traumatized. Ukuzasho ukuthi yazini le ndawo lana ngapha kwenye indawo. So I want to understand the system la uphakwe khona in the country. Mawuhleli abanye abantu bathenga le ndawo ngathi workshop yokhanda ikara, abanye bathi ngathi kuse scrap yard la. So I'm not quite too sure ngale. I was painting a picture lapho.
Well, okay, when you're talking about a rehabilitation facility, it's not. I'm not trying to paint a rosy picture. Prison is prison. Your freedom is taken away. But the whole time that I was there, all I could see is guys being taken into programs where they learn skills, mechanics, building, irrespective of how long their sentence is. They got involved into something vocational. Sometimes people laugh when I compare it to this side, when I say that is practically a hostel in a certain way, a poorly managed hostel. But to be honest, I spent 5 years. My first 18 months were in the actual maximum security that I was taken into for with a fraud case, a white collar case. I didn't question that, but it gave me a chance to interact with the most feared people in the country there. People were in there for armed robberies, all the many gruesome cases, but I'll honestly tell you that there was, I don't know how far the system has changed, whether it has become better or worse, but the time that I was in there, I can vouch for the system. There was programs in there. I was actually teaching grade 10s and grade 12s myself while furthering my studies. And then, doing some other activities, counseling juveniles and stuff.
So bari molo ngada ngayikyaziyo ukuthi kune culture ye gangsterism 26 27 big drive for Air Force. So ngale, do you also experience issue yabantu aba ama boss within the system?
I even interacted with them. I would sit. I mean, we had even a soccer league of which certain clubs were owned by AMA 26, 27, 28.
So are you saying the issue or the culture gangsterism, it's universal? So it's a universal language?
It is.
So as long as if say Africa basakhuluma le language, bathi Washington ama 26 wala bakhuluma iphi language? They Washington.
Yeah. See, it is. You wonder how it filters into other countries. I don't know about Botswana or Zimbabwe, but Namibia was the 10th province of South Africa anyway. So the language is there. We've got people from here who are serving also sentences in there, that are actively involved in that.
So, but what's that one thing that you take out? I mean, from a prison. Let's talk about the positivity, because we are not talking to people to rather ridicule a system, your correctional services. It's like a bucket of water with holes. It is leaking. They describe in this thing. I remember at some stage I was listening to a speech as a parliament. At that time, National Commissioner Begu Mr. Zakaria Mudisa, in his own words, he said, my people or our people are still institutionalized. They are still stuck in the prison days, even though Sesugu Correctional Services time. So, corrections, according to when, are you saying it's a myth, or correctional services, it is a system obviously that gives a second chance? One, they've got a principle that's called Batu Pili principle. But a lot of people are saying we don't understand which Batu are you talking about. When we go there, it's inhumane. We are searched. It's dehumanizing. When you go there, you become a criminal yourself. They're asking you funny questions. They're touching you funny. You are bringing stuff from Woolworths or wherever. Bas tear apart. Bas kluanisa. Bas fagema containing. I mean, you need to sometimes keep it part to before you get so traumatize you, so say jail on himself.
See, that it comes with the territory. I guess we're not supposed to go and get comfortable. I'll tell you from my personal experience when I was taken in. It's like I was expected. Like, he's here now, the junior mafia. I had dreadlocks. The one guy decided he's going to search my dreadlocks strand by strand, pulling them, stripped me naked in the reception with female officers and made me do frog jumps. He's saying if I'm hiding something.
But to appeal, yini ukapa in your language? As lento lemfed looking at this camera, yini ukapa kahle kahle. Abantu bakhona ukunderstand. Kunabantu abathi kumnandi ngara bathi kuse university mawubuya ugelezile esigele. Ngihlale ngithi efethu prison akusi hotel or akusi hostel futhi kuyanyiwa la. How explain lento? Ukukhulumela le setup.
You call it kuapa. There we use the color term of poke. Poke.
Mabati poking. Better understand.
So is when, whether it's contraband, money, drugs, you roll them in a paper, burn it, and push it up your anus.
Hey.
I'm allowed to say that on TV, right? I'm a pastor.
Hayi khulileka mfundisi.
It's a body part.
Hayi athi kusesontweni sizoyenza yasesontweni nje. Lesikhuluma nabantu la.
So yeah, people do come with that. They transport using that system. So, but now when you enter there for the fun of it, they'll just get a kick out of it. Just because you were a respectable member of society, irrespective of what you've done.
Yeah.
The moment you walk in there, they'll tell you now you belong to us.
Yeah.
You are state property now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take off your clothes and then jump until that thing that you're transporting falls out.
Yeah.
So you keep jumping and then they tell you jump higher on one place and jump and squat and jump and squat and yeah. And it starts there.
Yeah.
Is it now? That's where your mind, if you are not strong mentally, you start to be broken right there, because when you realize you are told straight you are state property, you are inventory, you are counted, you don't eat when you want to eat. But then the thing that you mentioned of the attitude that many people would show, there were some good people that I stayed with for 5 years. They are officers. We still kept touch for a while. But then there were
there were bad apples and also good apples. Yeah.
It's just like a hospital system where you get good nurses and bad nurses.
Yeah.
So
bakubiza bathe ndoda wena o drop woza ngapha wena bhuti.
You see, you find someone coming straight to you and call you a bandit. Yeah, Sposhwa. And you can't say anything and you'll remind you that who's Sposhwa.
Mara, let's talk about that. What I mean, if usebenza a saloon, you are a hairstylist, you are a hair barber, bakubiza ngale yanto angithi ukuthi wini. So mawuda legama lesiboshwa angitshele ngifuna ukunderstand so that umuntu ongazifokole edladleni. Is it a derogatory term and it is wrong, or ngoba liya dehumanizer? What does it do to one? Because in the end uphakiwe akunanto ezoshintsha. Mara nina nizipha amagama ukuthi le blue bunch. So the terminology blue bunch, I mean ibuyaphi or lo undoda.
Look, the one of the blue bunch or blue bike, it comes from, they were trustees back then.
Yeah.
The ones who were allowed to roam around. But now
about cleaners.
Yeah. Now coming back to now coming back to the terminology, there is if I translate Boshwa directly, it means an inmate, someone who is incarcerated.
Yes, Hamang.
Yeah. Yes.
So
but now calling somebody a bandit now, that is the derogatory part of it, because you know what bandits. Robbers are actually, that's where it comes from.
So mamela says building into manje study case maybe abosoli ngoba usirepresenta le parliament in the next year or two. So angithi kunegama la eMzansi baliscrapile balibhenile alifuneki from ingama particularly. I don't want to be racist about anything sexist. I'm just saying kune terminology esiyaziyo sonke ukuthi man nale term ayifuneki and ingama la kabhayiza ayisebenzisa masifuna ukuthi izingene kuwe or zikubhayizise ne. So are you saying or are you suggesting that the term bandit nalo kushuthi kahle kahle mele somehow criminalized?
Yeah, it's like we say, how do they call it? It should fall under hate speech.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's demoralizing. It's almost as the K word.
Yeah.
But now this one is allowed to be used by other blacks on blacks, because just the only difference is the uniform that the other one is wearing.
But I don't want to go deeper. Lento lezi yahluka out time. I can go on and on trying to paint a picture ngikama examples. Vandag manginentwana zami sinokuya zingithivate nyana maziyokhatha inwele. Le ntwana zami sinokubizana so zona sezingibiza shangani. Mangihlangana nazo de shangani. So le gama le shangani ngathi kunento wrong. I mean abaningi bakhuluma ukuthi ke itsonga. Even kuthiwa laba amaXhosa kuba ngathi kunento wrong laba amaZulu. Why kunaleyo ngifuna ukunderstand nje right there ukuthi flop kahle kahle liku.
What is the difference between Shanganis and Tongas? That's what I've been trying to figure out, because Tongas say Shanganis are from Maputo, from Mozambique, but then again, even in Namibia we've got a lot of Xhosas there, Zulus as well. They don't like it. So some people call them bongolos that side.
Yeah.
And they don't like it. It's a bad term because mbongolo is a
no mara ngathi we are catching feelings man itime lambeni lokuthi khanda lakho that angle once bakubiza ngento I mean it's anything yakho kamamakho mhla ngikhuluma ukuthi ikhanda likanyoko wathi leyo language nyana mara ngibona ngathi yonke into abantu bathanda ukuyipersonalize so that is why I want us to separate you understand so that we don't catch feelings kunoma yini mawuphakiwe uphakiwe and also understand one thing is system of correctional services is not to dehumanize you know and it's not also to oppress but abantu because by Spanish is a tool so I guess that is why now you'd find ukuthi low ile college mara zanga geleza qeda so wonke umuntu manje ucabanga ukuthi uslam so that is why they are riding on that just because we are on our issues there's a difference between the issue yama rights nama privileges we need to open a conversation one day about that about rights and privileges so that inmates they understand and like I always say ukuthi abantu bayaphakwa but awuphakwa abokhata then uhambe ye DCS maruphakwa icourt and that is why I'm saying there are many people I'm sure 30-40% yabantu baphakiwe you are in prison but you are not supposed to be in prison just because court did not prove the case beyond reasonable doubt even if bawukhona or bongekho but just because istory sakho besingekho solid or ungena ma lawyer grant that is why you find yourself behind bars but anyway for the sake of time with the conversation I want us to get to deeper stuff now because at some point umuntu underworld in literal sense meaning you practice serious voodoo you find yourself being subjected to you know ukuvaya ebusuku uzithole ngelinye ilanga umapuna uyo practice witchcraft so ngifuna ukuthi I mean i-terminology yafanda khona abo slay queen and abo slay queen kuthi okunama grotman lawo emikhaba baphethe amaviano leviano inenyoka ngaphezulu I want you to explain fandakho ukuthi grand wena for you to be able to be in that space and find yourself belonging into that club what actually took you and what was the consideration criteria for you to find yourself uda you am told now you are closer to being reintegrated by a keeper yangaphandle but mawufika life complicated and difficult that area the area singayikhohlwa le you start from there and then build until la ungena khona entweni zehici zala makheni
look it's two things what that falls it overlaps coming from prison you know you enter prison there's a thing that I was saying if you are not mentally strong you'll break but then correctional services as we refer to it now is it's up to you now to say I'll come out a better man or worse than I was but now the problem is society is unforgiving see rehabilitated not rehabilitated you come out society they look at all of us with the same eyes we don't belong there
but your problem you expect a hero's welcome umuntu ugangile ngithi umoshile and then what do you expect society I mean someone was telling me the other day actually this old lady called me and she was hysteric she was crying so she says to me Themba I know Guti you are playing a forefront and you are preaching forgiveness but how do you then or therefore expect someone like me my daughter was raped by this Vunglut now Vundras comes back he's reintegrated he is signing I'm a parole officers Africa I'm signing but this guy one time uyadlula phambi kwe-window maqedile ushaya iflate next door because bahlala nje right next door just jump in there one kuda maqedile uthi benicount nizophelelaphi maqedile ushaya iflate uyadlula so what do you think that does to one I mean borejiwe umuntu ukuthathile wakuviolator the next thing uyaphuma is reintegrated he expect a hero's welcome makaqedile kuthiwa thina mele i-society feel shame on amajita what witchcraft is that because ababhaya bayabuza ukuthi no ne society themselves abantu abaphilayo why are we saying ama criminals or abantu ababuye ejele sekumele thina sibafilele epity just because babhala incwadi just because abafundisa abo Pastor Freddy so I want us to unpack that let's just make sure ukuthi we sail on that
look it's two things one we are sent to prison not to be condemned but to be as the term puts it correctional services to be corrected and rehabilitated but now as we are facing release there should be that reintegration program that we're supposed to go through and then I cannot say one crime is better than the other we've all been into prison we came out now there's an issue of now opportunities talking about the guy now who's sort of mentally harassing his former victims, that's on a different level. But now I'm talking about opportunities now, where coming out. I've in the 5 years that I was in prison, there are guys that have left me in there and came back and found me 12 times or so. And they'll say, I'd rather be here than outside because there's not there, it's closed. It's not needing a hero's welcome, but it's to be given a chance to prove themselves that they are worthy that parole that they received. But then many of them would say, now I'd rather steal a packet of horse and come back inside because I'm safer inside. It's cold out there. So now with the issue of how it happened that I get back in, I get into that dark corner, that dark space.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's money issues. You know, you try this, you try that, doors are being shut in your face. I went into prison for fraud. Yes, my situation was so bad that my place is a small place where everyone knows who Freddy is, and I walk into a bank to apply for a loan, and the first thing I'm told is, you are that Freddy, the one that ate money. That's a banker that's telling you that. So what are your chances of getting finance from that? You see, I mean, I came out of prison, I got born again in prison. When I joined the cult, I was already in ministry. But not my ministry. I was in church. I was active in church. But then trouble, like they say, when trouble seems to follow you. Yeah. You touch here, there's a problem. When a truck is hijacked, they need to first ask Freddy if he knows anything about it. When Fortuna disappears from the showroom, Freddy knows something about it, and let's squeeze him so that he can talk. Who's involved in that? Who did what? And all those things. So it just became so frustrating.
So are you saying there's a terminology people used to say a black man is always a suspect?
Yeah.
So is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Being a reintegrated offender.
Yeah. See, you just become a suspect. You just become a suspect. Everywhere you go, people are not sure how they are going to embrace you, how they are going to allow you into their space, whether it's as a business, all these things. So
I remember there was a story about you. I think story said call for something. Yeah. Something was stolen somewhere. Now I think you have experienced something like that.
Yeah,
take us through.
Yeah, it was the Toyota Fortuner that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Actually, somebody offered to sell it to me. I didn't even view it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even have the money to buy that.
Yeah.
I'll take my son to school on taxi and all those things. Now you expect me to buy a hot Fortuner for that matter. Then the next thing is I've got cops on my doorstep looking for that Fortuner.
Yeah.
And they had managed to take the people who into custody. Where do I fit in? I don't know. But apparently I was the brains behind that Fortuner disappearing from the showroom. Yeah.
So trouble seems to follow you.
Yeah, exactly.
So constantly lose proof.
You see, that's the challenge that many people do not understand, especially for an ex-prisoner, is that you have to keep on proving yourself. If I say people close to me, let's leave the society. Let's talk about people close to me. I've quietly looked and asked myself deeply, are these the same people that I once loved, the same people who came and ate bread from my table, where if I come now, people start to check their handbags. I'm not demeaning anyone, I'm not being funny or anything, but I first used to hear about those things that, you know, some people, when you come, and especially if you were a prisoner, they just think you are coming to steal. So until I experienced it, somebody would hide their car keys. Or if a child is playing with their car keys and they are missing, they don't know how to approach you to see if they can search maybe those car keys are in your possession and all that.
In fact, just to chip in, Brother Freddy, I can relate, you know. It's just that I'm not the one to sober, you know, uba emotional, or you get teary eyes. I went to Lesotho and I was heading a team of one of the biggest musicians in the country. So I was doing the PR, the marketing, so I was dealing with the promoters that side. So actually I just sold the show to a businessman that side. So I just went to check, okay, we will be sleeping at Maseri Hotel, ama logistics is move kanjani, just to check quality, sound, production, light, stage. So fast forward, team sibesibukela ibus bezenge labo Greyhound in Dondon. So when they got to the hotel, everyone was excited, and then we started taking pictures. So one of the artists, without mentioning names, it's a she. She saw me, and when she saw me, she recognizes me. Oh man, I know this guy from somewhere. So, but and now, I'm not quite too sure whether lenda ayikhumbulayo was it good or bad. Ganti ukhumbula story se Kingpin, heist Kingpin and Tontoni. Now that sekabona ukuthi no lo mjita lo kahle kahle is a harmless germ and we are push on a network, so that is why I'm saying amajita, they need to constantly push. It's not about proving yourself, but you need to work twice as hard, and there is no enough, there's no reaching, there's no ceiling, there's no cap, there's no mark. You need to push until into zihlangan.
It's that thing. It starts to act with actually knowing yourself. Once you actually start to figure out who you are, what you want, where you are going, then you start to look at people that are behaving like that as very low-minded.
Kumnandi la kuze kunama helicopters yakhala. Kunopra Freddy, what if bazela bazofuna icar la le moto ezilashart lesigcwele abathe car isiphathile. No, that's fine. No, let's carry on.
Sorry to interject. Getting into that dark space, it was all these doors that were closing, and then the investigations that are going on around me, and the I would say the church that I was active with, they also start to say, no, you are bad news. That time my first wife was in church, she was in the leadership, they tried to push me into the leadership of the church. I used to say, no, allow me to just be a sheep this time, let me just be spoken to. But then they started to pull away from me. They started to go on about, once a criminal, always a criminal, and she shouldn't have married an ex-convict, and especially her being a believer, being a you see. So mistake number one that I made was to get angry with the church, to get angry with God, in the sense that, look, when I was called, I wasn't called by a Bible school or a pastor. It was through a vision. I've always known as a child that I've got that gift of seeing things, and so when it came to that part, even many people used to question that, how can you of all people be born again? Who led you to Christ? I said, no, but God himself led me to Christ. So it has nothing to do with you. And the funny thing is where actually when I got deep into the story of Saul, who became Paul. He was with all his soldiers. When he was with soldiers, but when the Lord spoke to him with that blinding light, the soldiers didn't hear. They just saw him fall and he was blinded, but none of them heard when the Lord was speaking to him. So many times when you are called, people want to question. So now, with all the challenges I start facing, the question becomes now, is he really born again? I keep him there.
So how do you prove that? I mean, there's something that's called a spirit of discernment. Other people, they can't discern the spirit. But you must be careful, good, who speaks a blessing upon your life. So how do you therefore separate?
You see, that's the thing. We've lost it as the church. We are going by appearances, or by, how should I say, a reputation. If the person has a clean reputation, there's nobody who doesn't make mistakes. It's just that others hide it well. Some of us get caught. So because we are in there spoken about, then there's something wrong with us. There's no discernment. See, some trials are actually just there to fix you, to grind you, to turn you into the man that you're supposed to be in whatever ministry the Lord is leading you. So now, with all that rejection from a place that I felt, okay, now I'm home.
Yeah.
I started to feel angry with the Lord. I started to feel, which was a great mistake, because I've learned to separate church from God. Because I've been, not to say badly about the church, but I've experienced, how should I put it? God is love.
Yeah.
And the first thing you're supposed to feel in a place where God dwells is the love.
Yeah.
But now you come there with a Mercedes, you feel the love. Come there with a taxi. Yeah, because I've seen hobos being kicked out of a church. And to me, it touched me, since I've also lived on the street, not just from prison, I've also lived on the street. I'll get into that. I've seen hobos being kicked out because they don't worship at that place. We know them after this, they'll just be asking for bread.
Yeah.
So we can't help them unless we see them coming for the next 6 Sundays. And I say, but that is not love, because whether they come once, whether they don't come again, Jesus says, when you gave someone who was hungry, you fed him. He didn't say if they come how many times. So I started to, I had taken that thing of the mistakes of the church are the mistakes of God. The rejection of the church is God rejecting me. So I decided, you know what? God doesn't love me. The church doesn't love me. I thought there is love. But I know in the cult there's no love. So I'm not going into a space where I don't know what is going on. I'm going to expect to be embraced. I'm going there knowing that, hey, it's do or die. So that was the first thing. My motivation were anger and the need for money. I needed to earn my respect again, because I realized that without money I wasn't respected anymore. Yeah. So the motive was to get money, be respected, earn my respect, and show the people who Freddy is, that I'm still there. I'm not gone. But yeah, so as I said, it's not easy.
That's when now you decided, Uguti, I want supernatural powers.
It was not really about power. It was the powers. There are people who go into those things to have powers, to do things, to do magic. My issue was straight money. I was just interested in money.
Let's talk about it. Angithi khona lento ukuthi nene asikhuluma. Namhlanje we are opening up so that people can learn. You ended up finding yourself bakunika instructions to say go there. So I want you to break it down. Ukuthi so that someone at home could see the signs. Someone said God always gives us the signs, but as human beings we choose to ignore the signs. Boyfriend yakhetha bayakutshela abangani obamameli nini usathane self uzoza khuluma yabona, whether with actions, then mase ku late sekuthiwa ubhodile sesiyokhuluma ku memorial service yakho. So take us through the dark tunnel. The first time you went and consulted and said, no, I'm tired with this poverty. I mean, ukhuluma namabhanditi, ukhuluma nebosho ezikhona eJardini, and namajita balokwathi amfethu yazini, the only way ukuthi ngibuyele eJozi. I mean, mawuse Danyane kuno umjita besinayo izolo correctional services, he says ama-families eza nama-plastic, they want to be seen ukuthi they are showing affection, love, support. Mara behind the scenes, they know for a fact ukuthi no, this is just a show. Immediately when you are integrated or released to go home, then now you feel the fires of hell, because bazofika bathi mfethu bayathatha ilofu bayibheka sebavula nale cap yelofu babala ama slices ayingakhi nini sekuthiwa udla kakhulu uthi uzule nini sobuye ebusuku nini hayi lo mfethu lo ukhulumela phezulu, so yonke into yenzayo seyiyabadina. In fact igiza ehlala icinyiwe uqeda amanzi iqala. So all of those things they would lead people. So I always say the only door that opens for umuntu okowaphakwa, it's prison door. So you are very sensitive, you are fragile, you are vulnerable to a system, because anything oyichunayo when you are always on the wrong. So hence I'm saying you are tiptoeing when you are walking on eggshell. So abanye abantu baphelelwa ubumnandi enyathi amugumba fa ehlala ithi Skeem ngathi azange ubosho yekunokubona mokwata manje ukuthi endoda vele kahle ahle ibharo yakhiya uyilokho uzudelete nama number dayile ngayenzi ibhanditi mfethu linesineke ukona ukuhlala ehangeni uyazi ukuthi ngikhiyele for 19 hours uphuma for few hours. So wena uphela kanjani umoya? So nami ngikwazi ukuthi ngibuyise awo yabona besihlale sitela bomkhulu banokubalekela inqondo mawufika ehangeni bo drop i5 op makayidop inqondo ibuyele endaweni yayo. So I'll go slightly kancane ukuthi there's signs. I want people to look for the telltale signs. Before you went and consulted, of course, you started somewhere. Then bakupa my instructions. Then you can just carry on. I mean, I'll be just listening.
Before I actually consulted, I did my own research. You know, we go into the cult with an idea that, you know, you just come, you sign a contract with the devil, and then boom, everything is there. It's not like that. Because I've actually, how should I say, interacted with two different cults. The Nigerian cult that I had to go to the cemetery for, and then I was also interviewed to be inducted into the Freemasons in Rosebank. Now, so let me start with the one where the very dark one. I came with the impression that, you know, it's that thing where they summon the devil and you get into contract, his terms, your terms, you are in agreement, and then it's a done deal. Only to find out that that was not going to be the case. The person who introduced me to these people had given me a different picture about even how the initiation is going to be done, you know, the money thing, and your accounts will be full, and then they'll give you how many years to live, but you'll be loaded and all those things. It's just a question of signing a contract in blood. But when I got there, they told me, no, those are fantasies. This is what we do here. See, you need this, you need this, we'll need this material, we'll need that, we'll need all the ingredients to perform those rituals. And now those rituals, you go, you live at the cemetery for 7 nights. Only at the full moon. When the moon starts and then gets full and then it crosses over to change into the dark, you live there. So what I was doing is I was in Joburg. I would go to Mooifontein Cemetery in Tembisa, there next to CTM. Yeah. That's where I was. But now you come there at night.
Yeah.
So that you don't draw attention to yourself. And then when the clock, actually when you enter the cemetery, you must make sure you pack your clothes outside nicely where nobody can pick them. Then you enter there naked.
Outside.
You don't enter the fence with them.
So you enter naked.
You enter naked.
Men, women, naked.
Yeah. But now you are alone. I was alone. You do this ritual in your privacy. And the other people, they also have to go do it wherever it is that they are doing it. And the other thing is, it's so secretive. It's not a social club that we come, and I know Themba is also part of it, and Success is also. We don't. My appointment is my appointment. His appointment, we don't meet. Yeah. Because there are certain people who are keeping their profiles hidden from that. So what happens? I have to pick a grave that I'm going to use for all those 7 nights. Then I have to bury my pot in that grave with all the ingredients and all the way I've been trained during the initiation to summon the demons and to call money into being. Okay. So now I had to pass the cemetery part, that stage, in order for me now to gain those powers wherever I am. Money, I can spend R1 million today, that box will still be full again tomorrow. Yeah. So in order for me to get there, I had to complete that seven nights session, being naked, and then 5 o'clock in the morning, no sleeping. I must stay awake from midnight until 5 in the morning.
So what are you doing from midnight?
At midnight, I must do the incantations.
Yeah.
To summon the demons and to appease those demons. Yeah. And then at 5 before I leave.
Do they give you a script or something, or initiation they give you?
At initiation, you must memorize it. You must memorize it, because if you mess it up, you are gone. And people die in those things. Yeah. So around 5 in the morning when the sun starts to come out, I must do the incantation and go.
Okay.
And then come back again.
So you bury the pot.
The pot stays buried every time.
Yeah.
So I must just always come there, pour that blood that they give you. They say it's blood of a bird, but whatever.
So who gives you this blood? Is it your master?
The master.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you must pour that blood. You must make a sign of a pentagram, that satanic symbol on it, on the grave, and then you do your incantations, and then you're done. And you sit there awake, because the moment you sleep, they will kill you. The demons. Yeah. And then on the last day is when you take, you remove the pots now. The contents of the pot should have been dry by then. And you crush them, you light them actually and let them burn, and then you take the ashes, put in a glass like this and drink them. So when you drink them now, that's when we enter into UKUTHWALA, man. They enter you now, they become yours, those demons. You move wherever you move with them. They serve you. So every time I summon money, the money appears from them. Yeah, see. So if I need to block enemies, I've got enemies that are after me. They are the ones that deal with that. But then at the end of the day, let me backtrack. During the induction, there's this thing that you do, the ritual that you do, that determines how long you are going to live. I was supposed to have lived for 4 years. I was supposed to be gone 2016.
Is it?
Yeah.
If you remained subscribed to.
Yeah. What happens? Actually, when you quit, you die quicker. But if you stay with them, you've signed with them that okay, with all this money that I'm going to enjoy, I have 4 years to live. Yeah. You do that ritual where the chicken must eat the mealy seeds. Depending on how many seeds of mealies it eats, those are the number of years that you're going to live. Yeah. See. So it's happening everywhere. People are dying, some heart attacks, some accidents, but the person had money, has a kidney failure, all of a sudden he's gone. Just quick like that. Yeah, many times many times we don't know what's behind that, but it's actually for those who are involved in the cult. It's because they know, and you get a reminder that you have 1 week left. Start saying your goodbyes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Motel?
Yeah.
So the people before they die,
they know. That's why many of them, you know, that people like to say it's like she knew she was going to die. Oh. Yeah. So they know. You get your reminder. So
what if now you defy the orders, and because Angithi, you are saying there's something, there's a good and the bad in this subscription of this satanic cult. So if now you feel good, Norman, it's like I was on trance, I was sleeping. Now I'm waking up and I'm deciding to say no more with this thing, away.
Getting out is not easy.
Yeah, give us your story as we are trying to wrap it up, because remember you had said there were Masons and then the other.
This normal one of the Nigerian is where I also learned the things we see on
quickly
Africa Magic.
Yeah.
Those things are real.
More brother.
Okay, but now with me, what saved me is that the stuff that I was supposed to drink didn't burn.
Oh, with the Masons?
No, with this Nigerian.
Okay.
It didn't burn.
Yeah.
So apparently I angered the spirits now. I provoked them because I didn't finish. I was supposed to go back and start afresh, but this time the price is hefty.
Yeah.
I must give my son.
So if family akithini mngana, asithi someone is listening at home and of course labantu bayaphila and lezinto ziyatrenda. Now they hear you talking about you subscribing to this underworld, and somehow they were a bait for you to be able to edify yourself and make money. What's the feeling? Or did you have to try and explain and open up and then ask for forgiveness?
A lot of them are not talking to me, but I don't know. Maybe they are scared. I don't know, because they've seen the other video. They know. Yeah, they. I don't know how they feel, but they should know that they are still alive because I love them. Otherwise, I would have. Yeah.
Anyway, you were wrapping up the story from the Nigerian side of the world, and you did not finish the course because you angered the courts.
Yeah.
And the staff did not burn. Yeah, I was hoping for you to be able to pick up from there.
Yeah, because the thing is, they wanted me back to start from scratch because they were saying I cannot leave. Otherwise, my children will die.
Yeah.
And then I'll follow.
Okay.
But then I was saying, but now for me to come back, I must kill my son. And I'm doing all this so that I can have money. Even if I die after 4 years, I leave money for my kids. Now you want me to give again blood? As I said, no, you'd rather come and get it from me. That is where we ended. I used to get threats. They used to call me. They'll tell me, you are sitting next to a guy who's wearing black and white techies and all those things. We are checking you in the mirror. In front of you, he's got a blue umbrella. They'll tell me, I'll even check if there are
cameras or something.
Drones. Maybe they are flying drones to monitor me. But they are checking the mirror. That's where it came now. As the threats went by, they gave me 2 weeks to come back. Otherwise, things start happening. But as the threats went by, they started calling me and telling me, you are finished. When we check the mirror, we just see blood. We just see blood. We just see blood. We can't see you. We can't see your children, meaning you're all dead. So I lived in fear for a while, but then weeks went by, months went by, nothing happened. Is when later, as I realized during my times of fellowship with the Lord, he would reveal to me whose blood was that was covering that mirror, that they couldn't touch me anymore. Okay. So, but now, in my stubbornness still, I didn't achieve what I set out to do. And you know, when the devil is hungry for you, he creates opportunities. Jiki, the Freemason, I received an email from the Boksburg Lodge. They call their temples lodge. Yeah, the Boksburg guy from the Boksburg Lodge sends me an email. He saw something on Facebook about me being a writer and all those things and what they're interested. Can he book me for an interview? And he told me straight, he's a Freemason. He'll set up an interview for me. Somebody will contact me, and then a few days later I was contacted for a meeting in North Bank, and I met lawyers and doctors. And that time when I met the Freemasons, I was now homeless. You know, people think I was first homeless and then joined the cult. I went homeless after the cult. I was finished, no money, nothing, and the only way to get it was to either go back or join. Yeah. So now that's where the Freemasons came into play. They interviewed me, and then, but at the end of the day, it didn't work out because,
all right. Now, just tell us the journey, Pastor Freddy, now where you are and the future endeavors, because it's important for us to talk about, because we cannot change the past, but we can only change and influence the future. I'm sure God has been good. I can see you are fresh. I've been calling you. We've been in contact for the longest of time before we had this joint sitting. And thanks again. I'm really humble for you to come. I'm just, praying for God's mercy, protection, love, to usher you into God's governance. And izinto zakho changes vuleke, because into out into sitting is just second chance. And also we just need the grace and the mercy. We always had to be covered, plead to God to create that hedge of fire around our lives. So I know you have written a book. Actually, you've got, I think you've got 2.
Actually, a lot. But
is it?
The main ones are 4.
Yeah.
5 actually, yeah. And then the others are just small booklets.
18 McCain's, no palida straight. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now look, since that episode, like the way the Lord told me, like, that is my ministry.
Yeah.
He let me go through that to birth my ministry, to talk to people, to help people.
Yeah.
Many ask me why I don't have a church. You know, you've got so many followers. Why don't you open a church? You can imagine how full it will be. I say, I don't do that. Not it's not because I don't want, but that is not my area of calling.
Okay.
I have sessions, small settings where we talk one-on-one, we discuss like this. Some people invite me into their homes, and then we go and sit and we talk, and then they understand things more. And some people I don't preach. I share my story. I will visit a home, share my story, and I'll find that there's nothing happening in that house. I'll quickly run to ShopRite and come and surprise them with a bag of Millie Meal, and we stay in touch with many people. That's my ministry.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
How do we get in touch with Pastor Freddy?
Via email. Okay, well, I've got my social media platforms. I've neglected them for a few months.
Please tell them at home, because I need them to follow you.
Yes.
They need to bless you, Mchana. You know, we are talking to people, but I always talk about the testimony, which is the best tool in the whole entire universe that anybody, man or woman, can use. It's his or her testimony. So they need to hear your testimony.
Exactly, because testimony, as it says in Revelations 12, 10 and 11, that it is by our testimony
shall overcome.
We overcome the enemy, the accuser. So my social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they are Pastor Freddy. And then my email, Pastor Freddy International. It's Freddy's FREDDY International, the full word, Pastor Freddy International @gmail.com. Or if you're outside South Africa, +27, that is, it's on WhatsApp, +27 65 944 8974, +27 65 944 8974. Locally, it's simple, 065 944 8974.
Thank you so much, Prof. Freddy.
Thank you for having me.
We had an awesome time, and I'm just hoping, Guti, I know Guti people, they want more. I'm saying, mighty warrior, great in battles, Jehovah is your name. Thank you so much, Prof. Freddy. You are a gift from God. You are a blessing. I hope you'll bless many people. You know, I'll bless it to be a blessing. So now, I just hope, Guti, with the token vandaag, with the word of your testimony, a lot of people have learned something. So I'm just going to give you my testimony. Busy Genesis to Revelation, it's only 7 chapters. And Bible's good. Why number 7? Yet it's a significant number. You know, a number of grace, 7 days of the week. You know, 7 churches with 7 candlesticks, the apocalypse of Asia. And every time I'm research all the time. So when the priests were marching around Jericho, they marched for 7 times. They were carrying 7 trumpets. They blew their trumpets for 7 times. I just hope Ugutu is blessed today. So I'm just going to give you this token. It's called Through It All. This is one of my offering. The first book that I've written in the most hopeless of places. I'm sure you can see there's a man in orange, and the man who is walking in the fullness of his calling. So to God be the glory for what he has done with your life. Keep well and stay blessed, Pastor Freddy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my brother.
Cheers.
Over and out. Salute.